So I'd like to talk to you today about you and your money and how you can not only learn today, but continue to learn about your money going forward. I don't know about you, but Janita and I, over the lifetime of our careers, have attended many seminars, and we ended up fired up after those seminars, and we came back home, and nothing happened. Did that ever happen to any of you at all? What we'd like to do today is give you a process where we can give you the information today and you can continue to learn, because we're going to teach you about something Janita and I have created that's completely free, completely non-commercial, called money clubs. And I'll tell you how we came to that, but let me tell you just a little bit about ourselves. So I have been a financial advisor for over 33 years. I came to it in a very unusual way. My father was a blue-collar worker. My mother was a housewife. I was the middle of 3 daughters. Who would think that I would need to know anything about money? But it was through my father, actually, that I learned about money. Although he was a blue-collar worker and never earned more than $20,000 a year, he saved. Much to my mother's chagrin. She wanted a new couch. No, you can't have a new couch. We're saving. He saved and he invested in the stock market. So he started investing in the 1960s, and my father, frankly, was a stockbroker's nightmare, because this was the period of time where you had to get a prospectus. You had to call your stockbroker to get a prospectus. The stockbroker sent out the prospectus. He'd read the prospectus. He'd call the stockbroker. He'd ask him all kinds of questions. And then my father was ready to invest in the stock, and he'd buy 10 shares of stock at a time. That's not a stockbroker's dream client, trust me. But what was interesting about my father, and what I learned, is he invested consistently. He didn't stop, and he had a very interesting philosophy. There were only 2 kinds of stocks that he bought. He made the decision that, you know what, you only buy what people need. Now, as investment advisors, this isn't necessarily what we consider diversification, but he had his own philosophy and he followed through on it. You only buy what people need. So he bought pharmaceutical companies and oil companies. And that's all he bought, 10 shares at a time. He reinvested the dividends. He bought more shares. He never sold. Kept on buying. My father retired at age 62, a millionaire, from a guy who never made more than $20,000 a year. My mother is still living, and unfortunately my father passed away about 5 years ago. He had Parkinson's, and it was very difficult the last few years. But my mother is still living a very comfortable life because of what my father did. And my father sat at the kitchen table every night looking over the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times looking for opportunities. But so you understand what kind of guy my father was. He didn't buy the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal. He borrowed it from the man next door because it was less expensive to do it that way. But these are the kinds of things. Sometimes we think that you have to make a huge, huge difference. And one of the things for us, especially as women, we often think, well, you know what, I don't know enough about this, I'm not ready to start. Well, in the investment business, we say you never get a green light to go all the way through for investing. There's always going to be some uncertainty. But one of the phrases that Janita and I have coined are small steps lead to big success. And for those of you that had us sign your book already, we've already signed that in there. And for those of you that would like us to sign your book at the break or after at lunchtime, we're more than happy to do that. And this little lapel pin represents that. Simply taking small steps, moving forward in a systematic manner. My father's 10 shares, learning about finance, going to make a huge difference to you. So today, we'd like to encourage you to take some small steps. On our website, we actually have 3 small steps a day that you can take in 15 minutes or less. Now, let me tell you how impactful that is. If you spend just 15 minutes a day, 15 minutes, and you can almost do anything for 15 minutes, don't you think? Working on your financial life, whether it's reading or learning or moving forward or looking at some things that you might be able to improve. Over the course of a year, you will have spent more than 90 hours or 2 full work weeks improving your financial life. And that's got to make a difference.